Welcome to Python tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll be discussing about the impute method, right? So I know I said we'll solve exercises on based on data structures, right? But before we do that, I want to make the exercises more fun, and I think we should go over the impute method. So let's quickly get into it. So now, to get an input from a user, right? So all we have to do is we'll have to use a variable. I'll say user, right? Let's assign this to user, right? I will say input, right? And we can say sorry about that. Okay, we can say enter your name, right? And then we run. Of course, you see enter your name, right? And let's say Lucia, right? Lucia, and we run. Of course, you can say enter your name, Lucia. Okay, so in order to give a space between this name and Lucia, what you have to do is do this and run again. Enter your name, I will say Lucia, right? So, all right. So of course you can see. So another thing you can do is to do something like this, and you run and you say Lucia, right? I think this looks cool, right? So I will do I will go over the three different methods that we used, so you can choose whichever one you want to go with. So let's do this. Let's take out these and let's say Victor. Let's say Victor, right? Let me run and let me paste these and say okay, and say run this and say Ben. Okay, so of course this does not even look appealing, right? So this can go, or this can also go. Okay, so now this is actually getting a string, right? So I want to show you something, right? A string can hold any value, right? So if I say 45, it shows, right? And if I come here and I say 65.2, okay, it floats, and of course it shows, right? But to make this a proper string, right, all you have to do is say okay user, right, and you say okay, and a parenthesis, and say str, which is string, right? And when you say this and say okay, maybe say Anderson, right, of course you get something like this. Okay, and now if I should repeat this thing, okay, remember we're already telling Python that this is a string. Now a string can hold any value. If I say 56 and run, it shows. If I say 57.6, of course it runs, right? So the default value for an input is a string. All right, so let's say we want to get the age of a user, right? I will say user user is equal to let's say user is equal to, okay, no, let's say user age, right? Let's say user age is equal to, age is usually an integer, so say int, right, which represent an integer. I will say input, right? Then we have our parentheses, and then we'll say please enter your age, right? So when I do this, of course, you see, and when I say 45, of course it shows, right? And now let's copy this and try out something else. Okay, let's do this and let's run. So when I say let's say age, and I say 45, and I say 45 and I run, of course look at what it's saying, right? Invalid literal for int. All right, it's just telling you that you cannot put a string inside, like this cannot take in a string because it's an integer, right? So now let me go down here, paste that, and then run, and let's say 65 5.9, which is a float, right? Of course, you're saying invalid literal for int with base 10, 65.9. All right, it's just literally telling you that, hey, this is a float and this is an int. All right, so the data type that can take a float, all you have to do is say user, let's say user height or user weight, right? Let's say user height, right? You say equals to float. Okay, sorry, you say float, then parentheses, you say input, right? Parentheses, you say okay, please enter your height, right? And then I run and say 5.2. Let's do it. Of course, 5.2. Okay, let's do this and give a space and then say okay, 5.2. Right, okay, theory. Okay, so of course you can see this is how you basically get a data from a user. So you have to specify if you want that user to use to enter a string, a float, or an integer. All right, so look at this, right? So let's say I run this and what is it, and I say 5. Of course, it runs without an error, and 5 is actually an integer. That is, oh, this was an integer, right? Let me get this float. Okay, user height. Let me get these and I say 5 and I run. Of course, you get the 5, right? And it's a float. The data type here is a float. Okay, this is to say that a float can hold an integer, but an integer cannot hold a float, right? And also, a string can hold a float, an integer, and a string. All right, so see you on the next video where I will solve some pretty little question using some mathematical operators that we have already gone through during the course of this tutorial, and I hope you really find them appealing. All right, see you on the next one.